Welcome back, Amador County. Joined this morning with Kyle Wilson. Good morning.
Good morning, Cam.
You remember the Deputy Sheriff's Association?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you're also a first place main event winning Derby driver.
Yeah, it came as a surprise to me.
Really?
Yeah.
So how many years have you been in the Derby?
This is my third year.
Third year. And does the Deputy Sheriffs, do they actually build the car?
We have a few deputy sheriffs that come up and help me build the car. Yeah, it's hard having a lot of guys live out of county, and not everybody knows a whole lot about cars. So, a couple of us get up there and build it, and then I have a couple friends who work throughout the community, and they come up and help as well.
Okay. So you started out in heat number 2.
Correct.
You took a first place in that.
Yep.
Okay, and then you obviously skipped the hard luck round. Ended up in the main event. Did you think you had a chance at that point?
I'm always in it to win it. I'm competitive by nature, but there's a lot of big dogs out there who've been running a long time, a lot of derbies every year, 10 to 15, and I do one a year. So I always just hope for the best and try and drive smart and keep the car alive.
Right. Let's tell the viewers what kind of car you had.
This year we had a 79 Chrysler Cordova. It had a 360 engine and a 904 transmission.
Okay. Do they still weld the spider gears in the rear end?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the main ones?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, you always want to have two wheels driving in the rear.
Right. You'd be pretty tough out there in one. We're showing some B-roll footage now of the Derby. Overall, seemed like a good showing for the Derby?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I heard rumor that this is one of the biggest derbies in the state. Somebody had said that the state fair only had about 9 cars in it. And ours had 34, I believe.
Right.
So it's a pretty big difference.
And I even heard a friend of mine that lives over in Calaveras said that the Derby over there just isn't the caliber of the Derby here in the county.
I couldn't tell you. I've never been to that one. It's hard to find time, but yeah, I think we had a great turnout.
Sure. So let me ask you, the days following the Derby, are you a little shaken up, sore?
A little sore here and there. I whacked my elbow a few times. It's a little stiff, but it's not too bad. It's better than you would expect.
Right, but you are actually volunteering for car accidents, basically.
Yeah. A lot more than most people do in a whole year. So.
Sure. So do you kind of take it easy, or do you kind of go all out at first, or what's your strategy?
You always got to make your hits, especially in the first rounds. You got to score points so you make it to the main event. And once again, the main event, it's pretty much go for broke. And you're not anticipating keeping the car afterwards. If you're able to salvage it, it's good. But
right.
You're in it to win it and crash anything that gets near you.
Sure. So, did you have to replace any parts on the car throughout during the Derby?
We got lucky this year. The only thing we had to replace was a radiator. I had a little pinhole leak, and we could have ran with it, but I'd rather replace it when I had the chance.
Right. So you didn't have any flat tires.
No.
You didn't.
No.
Do guys still fill the tires with water, or?
Some people do. I don't. It's a lot of rotating mass when you're. It's hard on the transmission, basically.
Sure. Makes sense. And the transmission is one of the things that you have to particularly keep cool.
Yeah, that's why a lot of the guys will run a real large transmission cooler. The one we use, it's a copper coil and a bucket full of ice. It keeps it pretty cool. So.
Right. And were these tips and tricks that you learned through the years of doing the Derby, or how did that work?
Yeah, you pick things up here and there. I try to learn something new every year. You can learn a ton of stuff on the internet. You can learn anything on the internet.
The old internet comes to play.
Exactly.
Nothing wrong with that, though.
No.
So next year you're going to be in the the Derby. Okay.
Yeah. Not sure what car we'll have. We'll see what we can scrounge up.
And you said the Cordova. You said there were a number of them.
Yeah, I heard that there was anywhere from 7 to 11. I didn't go down the line and count them, but there was quite a few. So I'm sure there's not very many left in California.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to find those.
Yep.
A rare commodity. Do they still not allow the Chrysler Imperial?
Correct.
Okay, and that's just because that's just
indestructible.
A battering ram, right?
Yeah. You can bounce off those all day long, and they'll barely dent.
Yeah. So we're speaking with Kyle Wilson here. You're a deputy here in Amador County.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you keeping things in control on the streets around there?
We try to. Yeah. One of the reasons we run the Derby is as a community relations kind of thing.
Sure.
We always want to be able to let people know that you can approach any of the deputies, and we're here to help. So.
Oh, I think that's a good plan. You had your also had your sheriff's mobile substation right by the beer area, which I thought was convenient.
It's all strategy.
You don't get far to take them back.
Yeah. Yep.
And you had the car there. The car was number 911.
Correct.
Which was also a message to let people know that
Yeah, it stands out.
if there's an emergency or you need help or
Yep.
you're in a crisis, that number's always there.
Yeah. The kids like to see the car out there. It's good for them. They enjoy it, and then like you said, it also puts 911 in their brain. That way, in case there is an emergency, they can take care of it.
Sure. You showed up for the pretty car contest and you had the beacons. Is that what they're called?
Yeah.
On top of the car,
lights, yeah.
beacon lights, yeah. And you didn't actually go through the heats with those. I would imagine it'd be a little bit of
those are expensive. Yeah.
I figured you just put on those and everybody's just going to run.
Yeah, exactly. Except it really doesn't have that effect in the Derby. They all kind of chase me.
Right. I wonder if that's the case though too. Like, here's a guy, there's a sheriff. When else do you get a chance to get in there and just ram into a sheriff and not end up in handcuffs and lose your license?
Exactly.
Well, you're a good sport about this and good at the sport.
I try to be. Like I said, I'm in it to win it. So
Yeah. You going to drive next year then?
Yeah.
Okay. And the deputies are all going to come together and look out because they're the winners. And if you thought they were after you this year because you were a deputy, now you get the first place trophy. They're might as well be Chris Gaskin out there. They're going to be hunting you down.
Yeah. Hey, I'm in it to crash the car. Bring it on.
Great. Kyle, good to talk with you.
Appreciate it.
We're switching over to Heather and Austin Ford.